Welcome back to Cephas Unscripted. Robin, my guy, how you doing? How are we feeling after this weekend?
All right. We played paddle again.
No, we
Let's just
didn't.
uh, let's just talk about the elephant in the room.
We didn't play paddle
Uh,
again this weekend.
Casual thought he could beat me once and for all. He was ahead in the game, but then I just had to show him who's boss, bring out the experience, and yeah, I went home happy. And it was a long drive back home to Brackenfell for Divan. So, how are you
Yeah,
feeling?
it's just because you froze me out of the game. Just hit it to my teammate.
Fridged
I'm
you.
just kidding. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna throw him under the bus like
I hope
that.
he
Fair
doesn't
enough.
watch this.
I'll tell him. I'll tell him shit. He'll know it's all love though. Anyway, yeah, fine. Okay, Robin beat me at paddle again. Okay. It's one of those things, right? Like, to be fair, the guy's a pro and I'm not a pro. You should feel embarrassed beating down on the small. But I mean, it is what it is. Anyway, we're going to chat, right? Because we had the Springboks concluding their 4-game streak, our first 4 games of the season. Obviously, Barbarians, Italy, Georgia. We're going to talk about our takeaways, the guys that kind of excite us, the guys that stood out a bit, and then we'll just have a little fun interaction one where we want you guys to get involved in the comment section. I'm going to talk about just a 15-man team of purely on form, right? So obviously there's big names that's going to miss out because they didn't play too much or didn't really perform in these games. So if this is your type of content, please do remember to hit that like and subscribe button. We're just fans. There's no stats. This is not no stats based. So please do remember to hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you for joining in this little community that we've built. Let's get into it. Quiet.
Okay, shoot. But, Brew, this
Robin, if we think about the forwards in these 4 games, who's the guys that have kind of stood out for you, that have said, listen, Rassi, sir, reporting for duty, please put me in the squad? Obviously, we were narrowing it down to 36 guys.
Yeah, first name probably for me that springs to mind, Ruan Nokia. I felt he's had some phenomenal games in these past few test matches that we've had. So I'd like to see him part of that squad. I think he will be. Um, we have lots of depth at lock, but there should definitely be an opening there for him. I think that's one of them, and then probably Vincent Sachuka, the 2 games that he played as well. Thought he did really well, and definitely a good backup there for Peter Steph du Toit. So those are the 2 that spring to mind. And yeah.
No, I fully agree on both. Ruan Orkia's had a sensational 18 months, right? Like, after he had to come in for, what was it, a broken leg from Franco Mostert? A broken bone, right? He came in. There was no Loot. I think Ergie was still on the bench, and maybe Ergie wasn't available either. Franco Mostert was out. And then Ruan Orkia just came through and shined. And since then, it's all been looking out for him. He's been sensational. Fully agree with Vincent Chuka. I mean, he's been outstanding. Another one that I'd like to throw into the mix is Marco van Staden. I've said this before, right? Like, he's not your guy that's going to stand out in the game necessarily. But if you look at the situation that the team was under, and you were like, okay, well, there's no Siya Kolisi, Jean-Luc Dupre's out and stuff. And no one really expected Mark van Staden to get the nod at 6. He came through and he was just doing his job at every breakdown, made himself a bit of a nuisance, didn't miss the tackles. He just did the work right. And after the first 3 games, we did an episode, and I told you this. If you had to tell me before the tournament started or before our first 4 games that he's going to be the guy with the most minutes, would have laughed. Would have laughed because he hardly even played for the Bulls. And yet I'm like, well, he performed all the way through, really put his name in the hat to actually get some more game time with the Boks. So very, very impressed by him. Another name maybe, let's go Lode Jager. He was good, right? Because I kind of look at the Lord one a bit differently to the others, right? Because we're looking at guys that really needed to put up the hands that hasn't really had the shot before. If you look at Lewitt, he's the experienced guy, but he knows he's probably not first choice. Our locks are probably the most depth that we have, where Lewitt needed to put in massive performances because that 4 jersey is kind of on lockdown with Eben. But then you've got Franco Mostert, RG Snyman, and Lorie Jager now, and Rohan Orkia. Those 3 guys fighting for the 5 jersey, and I have to throw Lorie Jager in there as well. He had outstanding performances. Like, that felt like watching prime Lorie Jager, maybe even better because he's massive. He is huge. So those are kind of the guys for me. You mentioned Vincent Chuka. I want to ask you, because I mentioned this earlier in another video, and I was thinking, do you see an opportunity where we might go like a Vincent Chuka at 6, Peter Steff at 7? Because obviously we're not going to leave out Peter Steff, and then Siya Kolisi at 8, because that's the whole reason why we backed Kobus Visa to play 8 for another line-out option. Siya Kolisi has played 8 for the Sharks predominantly this season. Vincent Chuka obviously plays 6 for the Sharks, but we switch it around, so kind of 7. But I'm sure we can still make it work with a Vincent Chuka, Peter Steff to Toy, and then Siya Kolisi at 8. Do you think we might see something like that?
Yeah, well, I wanted to mention before you said it, they have obviously been doing it at the Sharks, but you're bringing in Peter Steff du Toit into the mix as well. Will add a little bit to that dynamic, but I think I can see it happening. Although looking
Extra
into
line-out option.
extra line-out option as well, but looking into this past weekend, Sia's going to have to start dominating physically like we've known him to in the past, because this past weekend I know he did get a bit of a head knock in that tackle early on in the game, so that might have affected the rest of his game. But yeah, he wasn't as dominant as you'd like to see, and if he's going to fill a Jasper Visa sort of mold or Dwayne Vermeulen mold at that 8, he needs to get gain line dominance. So I mean, there is potential for Sia to play in that 8, especially because I don't see Sia playing more than 50 minutes each game if we're still going to be deploying the bomb squad. If we bring on a guy like Kwagga Smith, then Sia can have his 40 to 45, 50 minutes and try, be as dominant as he possibly can. But he's going to have to front up physically like we know he can. Maybe it was just an offish game for him.
Yeah, but he got smoked this weekend. Like, there was a couple of dominant tackles on him. And to be fair, I'm not going to... Like, he by far got smoked the most times. But Georgia handed it to us in terms of physically. I thought they had the physical upper hand in that game. Like, I can't think of anyone that really got the front foot on when it comes to physicality that game. I think all of our guys got smashed backwards, conceded another maul try. Obviously, Marnus van der Merwe and Bone Venter got over the try line on their debuts, which is great, right? You love seeing your forwards get over the try line. But overall, were you impressed by our physicality or our lack of physicality? Or do you also just think that was just Georgia being Georgia? Because they've always fronted up physically.
Yeah, I think it was expected. Like, we knew Georgia were going to come with a dominant scrum. I think Rassie knew that as well. That's why he had a full debutant front row to give them that test match, international test match feel and see how they can, do. Obviously, 2 of them managed to score tries, which is good for them. But they did also struggle at times in the scrum. Also, the lineouts, I don't think our lineouts were up to scratch. And then in terms of physical dominance, you could see that the Georgians were up for it. They weren't gonna, fall to the prey of the Springboks like other teams potentially have in the past. Like, they were super physical. I'd say out of all the Springbok players over the weekend, probably the one that got the most dominance in that powerful Georgian defense was probably like Dialindi. He also got quite a couple shots.
And he's a back.
I need the back. But his work rate, like when he's getting tackled and stuff, to stay on his feet and continue to like gather meters makes a massive difference. I felt Georgia were amazing at the breakdown. Like, the fact that they got so many steals.
They really played well, right? And there's a couple of question marks. To summarize, right? It felt like watching South Africa versus the All Blacks when it comes to scrum time and stuff, but us being the All Blacks, in terms of we front up for, let's say, 70% of the scrums, but then they get the scrum penalty on the other ones. So the other times we just match them out. And because they got a couple of scrum penalties, they were really, really good. Now, I'm not going to sit here and knock our guys. Like, obviously, it was a new team. Chemistry isn't necessarily there with everything, but like, you don't expect to see this. Like, the Springboks got scrum backwards, and it was a strange phenomenon in the game. Hopefully, we don't ever see that again. Okay, that was sad.
Yeah.
It took a bit of our pride, right? Because that first half was embarrassing, but then it just picked up in the second half. The second half was a lot better. I think it was kind of your normal thing of the Georgian gas just ran out. Like most other teams, their gas just runs out. They can't match physically too much. And I saw another stat. I saw it on Twitter, so I'm not sure how true it is or the validity of it. But when Bongi missed his first line out against Georgia, right, or I think he missed his first two, he was on a 7 line-out losing streak, which is crazy. I didn't even realize it until I saw that tweet. So the tweet said he's on a five line-out losing streak, and then he lost 2 in a row. I was like, well, now it's 7. That's crazy.
That's not good. That's not good
gotta fix that.
From one of your, potentially
Experience.
second choice hooker. Not for me, that is, but obviously his name and what he's accomplished, that's not really good to have in Bongi. So hopefully he can sharpen up on that. But you also got to, understand, is it more so the line-out dynamics? Is it just him and his throws? But 7 in a row is a bit extreme.
Yeah, it's obviously a bit of a mixture of both, but in the end, from him, it's 7 in a row, which obviously tells you that there's a bit extra from his side. I'm not going to jump on Bongi. I think Bongi's been a legend for us, but I'm not going to beat around the bush. He has to pick up his socks. He has to, right? Not pick up his socks, pull up his socks. My bad, Afrikaans. Because especially if you look at how good Malcolm was, I thought Malcolm has been great. Marcus van der Merwe really impressed me. Manus van der Merwe has to be in that 36-man squad, because I don't think Jan-Hendrik Wessels really did himself a lot of favor when he played at hooker. Like, he can play at hooker, but it's once again one of those things. You don't want guys that can play in a position. Jan-Hendrik Wessels is one for the future and stuff. Keep him in the squad. He has to be on the bomb squad or something, even if you want to start him, but as a prop. Just keep him as a prop. He doesn't need to be a utility player. We've got enough strength and depth for specialists in specialist positions. Your hooker has to be a specialist hooker. That's my opinion on it. Let's go to the backs. Whose stocks has risen the most?
Oh, I don't know how much more it can rise, but Grant Williams.
Yeah.
Bro, that guy he's got to be our number one choice. I did like how Faf played when he came off the bench this past weekend, but Grant brings just something different to our backline. The pace at which he spreads the ball, the fact that he's an attacking threat as well and can snipe and break at any given time. His box kicks are solid. He's defensively sound as well. People don't give him his flowers for this, but he's so good at defense as well that, last little tackles around the fringes, helping the forwards out. He's just phenomenal. His stocks has risen, and for me, he's got to be starting for us.
You can see there's a clear gap between whoever is going to be between him, who's number 1, and whoever is going to be number 2. And we have talented nines. Like, I love Kobus Reinach. We obviously didn't get to see much of Kobus Reinach, so let's take that with a pinch of salt. But when Grant plays, his box kicks, as you just mentioned, phenomenal. We've seen that he can kick off both feet, left, right, doesn't really matter. Obviously, he's got that individual magic where he can snipe a gap from the Kane and Moody try, right? That all came from Grant Williams spotting a gap from absolutely nowhere. And then he's got gas. He's got a fuel reserve in his arsehole, because the guy dude, he's so quick. He must be the quickest Springbok at the moment. Like, he is sensational. Yeah. And then another guy, whether he played or didn't play, right? Every weekend his stocks just climbed. Once again, respect, Marnie. Did we saw it again this weekend? Sasha really struggled, right? And in the end, like I love Sasha. I love Sasha, but if Mani kicked like Sasha kicked over the weekend, he would get hounded. And Mani by far was just the best 10. If you take all of the games into consideration, Pollard was good when he came off the bench against Georgia. Very good, actually. But his game against Italy, he sucked ass. That's why he got so much hate. He doesn't deserve hate. But if you take the 10s that we have, Mani has given his 2 cents to say, listen, maybe that 10 jersey should still be mine. Right? Like, East is an all-time high at the moment.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, I can see a world where, Marnie and Grant are starting consistently for the Box, and then just off the fact that like we saw Faf and Andre come off the bench and they did so well. Like Faf brought a lot of energy when he came on, and then Andre was there just for the experience. I mean, that chip kick.
Just there for the experience.
No, not just for the experience, but just because he's experienced, like you felt like a level of comfort, like you knew things were just going to run a little bit more, not so chaotically, a bit more smoothly. Kicks were going to be, a lot more accurate and that sort of thing. So I can see a world where, Grant and Marnie start and Hanre and Faf come off the bench just to close off a game. If it's a close game, any vital kicks, Hanre can go, do his thing. I like that.
Felt like we were back in the 2015 Andre in that game.
Mm.
I mean, the guy had a chip and chase successfully, won a foot race, got there. He hit a gap to score a try. I mean, must be about 10 years since we've seen that from Andre, which is absolutely beautiful, right? We want to see how Andre fits into this Tony Brown system. Well, he fitted in pretty nicely when he came off the bench, right? So hopefully he doesn't stink it out when he actually starts a game again. But I was very impressed by him. And then there's two guys that I kind of need to give a little bit of props to. I'll always say Damian Willems is the best player in the world, right? But the starting 15 jersey goes to Apelile Fassi. He is so good at the moment. Like, the consistency that he brings, it just feels like everything moves in slow motion when he has the ball. Like, he sees the gaps. And I said this earlier as well, like, it just feels like he's kind of taken a bit of the bits and bobs that Vili Leroux has given him to bring some creativity into it. And his game has just skyrocketed since Rassi has shown some confidence in him, which is glorious to see. He's the starting 15 at the moment. Like, as much as I love Damian Willems, he's kind of in the same WhatsApp group as Sasha, where it was like they had good periods in the games, and then they had a couple of periods where it's like, that didn't look too good. And then the other guy is the guy that we spoke about a couple of episodes ago. Kanan Moody's obviously going on the squad tour, obviously. But I thought he would be going as a wing. He showed so much more maturity on that 13 jersey. He played very well. Like, just a cool, calm, composed. I said I can't remember a good game that he's had in that 13 jersey, except for that All Blacks one. Well, he's had 2 blinders in a row. He played phenomenal rugby. So both of them, there you go. There's your props. Brilliant rugby by both of them.
I like it. I like it. So, what should we just run through a quick 15?
Yeah, but purely on how they performed in these 4 games.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what we misunderstand is there was a lot of chop and change. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
myself and Casual are just going to put together something that we feel in terms of, how they performed, if we felt like they played a level above what we used to, how they fitted into the team, the new play style. I think we'll just base it off of that. So if
Yeah,
there
so
is
no
one or two
history
guys,
gets taken into it. So there's a
yeah,
couple of big names that I've got left out that will obviously start. Obviously. Like, they've got their jersey on lockdown, but it's just purely kind of it's just a fun thing just to do to get you guys involved as well in the comment section. Who are you going as your 1, 2, 3?
well, I'm gonna do Ox. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's not me
Nobody
bringing
he
up the
played well.
past, but I just think he played really well. Um, in terms of hooker, just got to go Malcolm, eh? I think it's Malcolm. I mean, you look at that last game this past weekend. I know the guy got 2 tries and stuff like that, but it was against a Georgian side, and there's no disrespect to Georgia, but I think Malcolm, playing against Italy, some would say a more structured side than Georgia. I just felt that he he was on form in terms of the
I
players that
fully agree.
we used to.
I fully agree. I agree with both of your first two. Who we going at the 3 jersey? In my opinion, it's either Volko or Asenati and Clavicane. I can't
Um,
really pick between the two. I thought both of them shined when they had the opportunity. Probably more so a bit Asenati, if I have to be honest.
yeah, I mean, I'm happy with either one of them, to be honest. I'm fine with either
Yeah.
one of them.
Asenati played 3, right? I know you can play both. Or did he play 1?
No, he played 3.
Yeah. As far as I can remember, that's why I'm putting them together. Because in the 1 jersey, I know Jan-Hendrik Wessels played there. I know Thomas de Toy played there. That was kind of the majority of it. And then, yeah, so I'm thinking Asenati in that 3 jersey. But obviously, if the comments can correct me, if he didn't play 3, then I'm still going Orcs, but then I'll just do Volko at 3. 4-5, my locks. It's going to be a bit strange now, but I'm going. I know he doesn't play 4, but Ruan Orkia, you mentioned it. I thought he was outstanding. I'm
Yeah,
giving him that 4 jersey because he was just that good. Obviously, that jersey's on lockdown for Ibn, but Ibn was good against Georgia. But then I look at Ruan Orkia, who was sensational against Georgia. And he was great against Italy as well, where Ibn struggled a bit more against Italy. He got tackled backwards a couple of times. And then 5, straightforward. I'm going Luriacher. Unfortunately, Ergi just played off the bench, but he was great when he came on against Georgia,
yeah,
by the way.
yeah. Those are my two as well. Obviously, moving Ruan to 4. Um, the loose trio gets interesting because even though I mentioned previously that I felt Tsutsuka had phenomenal games in his first couple, I'm giving it to Peter Steff. Like he came back like he never left. He wasn't overly chaotic and like super impressive like World Cup standard, but still just having him in the team is like it's next level. He carried, he tackled, he it feels like he has a little bit even more like maturity and like positive playing style to his game. He wasn't like in the past we've seen him try force stuff, like force
Mm,
an offload or like force something that's not on. He was just so good at the basics. So I'm
mm,
probably gonna go with him at 7.
mm. 6 is Marco van Staden for me. He
Yeah.
obviously played 3 out of the 4 games. And then I'm actually gonna go with Vincent Juchuka. Just because of kind of the pressure that was on him to live up to that Peter Steph Toy hype, and I thought he did very very well, like to the degree where he's really put his name in there to kind of get into this team, whether it's going to be at 6 or 7, or well, he's not going to play 8, but yeah, to get his name into that with the pressure on him, I'll just give it to him because we already knew about Peter Steph and those type of things.
Yeah.
So on the form and the way that Chichuka just stood out, I'm gonna give it to him. And then at 8, well, are we gonna go with Kobus Visa? Are we gonna go with Jasper Visa? Who played 8 in the first game? Jean-Luc Dupria, who had to play 40
Yeah,
minutes until
Jean-Luc
he
only
got.
had a couple minutes. I
Um,
mean,
let's you can. Evan Roos's 23 minutes was better than anyone else's minutes, right? That was solid. It was a very good 23 minutes, but that would feel harsh. So let's go in that
I'm
8
going with
jersey.
Quibus just because Jasper was done with that red card. I'm just going to give it to Quibus. I thought he had a
I'm giving
decent
it to
game.
Andre Estrazen, bro, just on pure vibes. We didn't have an 8. He went into the scrum. I know he went into the scrum as a Lucy. I don't even care, right? We didn't have an 8 for 4 games. Okay, that's basically the crux of it. We purely on vibes. I'm going Andre Estrazen. If it's not Andre Estrazen, it's either John Luke, because I told you we watched this game live together. I told you I was happy with John Luke, in that Barbarians game. But I mean, that's only the Barbarians game. And then I thought Jovan Roos was very, very good when he came on there. So I would actually give it to Jovan. But unfortunately, he's got 23 minutes. So, yeah, whatever. 9, Grant.
I think I can name the whole back line and you wouldn't have an issue with one.
Okay. Let's see.
Grant Marnie,
Yeah.
Dialindi,
Yeah.
Moody.
Yeah. Jesse was great. He was captain as well. But just in terms of the expectation that I had of Moody and the way that he played, Jesse's still going to be the 13. He's still a better 13 for me. But in terms of how they stood out in the game, yeah, Moody.
Wings, Edwell,
Yeah.
Orense.
Yes. Because Colby didn't
then,
really play. He played against the Barbarians and then
yeah,
a bit against Italy. And I mean, whatever. Yeah. Edwell.
and then
Edwell
Fussy
and
fullback.
Correct. You got, grand slam. Well done. Top stuff.
Solid backline.
Yeah, but I don't think you can really disagree with it. Like, obviously, there's a lot of big names that will obviously be in this team. We didn't make a team to go and play against Australia because then the team would totally differ from what we just said. It's kind of just a team to give props to the guys that put up their hand in the first 4 games. Like, let me actually ask you this right before we end. Do you think Fussy takes that 15 jersey?
I do. And
Against the All Blacks. Let's say against the All Blacks, because I think we'll probably switch it around. Does Villy make the cut to the 36 as well on Sabah?
this is tough because I don't know about the situation with and Mapimpi, because if Rassi doesn't take them two, it obviously opens space for others.
No and no. No and no.
Neither of them. Okay, well, if that is the case, then there is potential there for Villy, but I don't see them using Villy. I think first
Remember,
choice
this
at the
is a
moment.
36-man squad purely for Australia.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's going to be fussy. I think it'll be fussy, and depending on how we set up our squad on the bench, we could have Damien coming on like he did this past weekend to fill any utility. I think that's how they're going to do it. And damn, Damien is just getting bigger and bigger. Like, bro.
Bro, he's losing gas. Like, I saw a video of like a Stormers compilation. I was like, don't get me wrong, I still love Damien. He's still got a step, but boy, oh boy, has he got a tractor to carry now with him. Like, obviously, you mentioned it before, and this will be a golden shout. If he gets an opportunity, and I would love to see this happen, I would love to see him get a run at 12. Right? Because obviously, Damien Leland is getting older. We all know this. He's not slowing down by any stretch of the imagination. He's still scintillating. Just give me a little Gaza at 12 if you really want to. Test that Marnie and Damien at international level. That would be sexy. Anyway, we'll wrap it up. People, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like and subscribe button. We do appreciate you guys, and we will see you next time.